Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, is widely regarded as one of the greatest leaders in American history. Born on February 12, 1809, in a log cabin in Hardin County, Kentucky, now LaRue County, Lincoln grew up in poverty in the frontier areas of Indiana and Illinois. Despite limited formal education, he developed a passion for learning, teaching himself through reading books and studying law. Lincoln's early life was marked by hard work and struggle. His family moved frequently, and his mother, Nancy Hanks Lincoln, died when he was just 9 years old. This left a deep emotional mark on him. After his family settled in Indiana, Lincoln worked as a farm laborer, rail splitter, store clerk, and surveyor. At the age of 22, he ventured to New Salem, Illinois, where he began his legal studies and passed the bar exam in 1836. Lincoln then began practicing law in Springfield, Illinois, where he became known for his strong work ethic, honesty, and integrity. In 1842, Lincoln married Mary Todd, with whom he had 4 sons. Their marriage was complex, but Mary was a key source of support throughout Lincoln's career. Lincoln's political career began in the Illinois state legislature, where he served from 1834 to 1842 as a member of the Whig Party. During this time, he advocated for internal improvements, including the construction of roads and railroads, and supported policies that promoted economic development. In 1846, Lincoln was elected to the U.S. House of Representatives, where he opposed the Mexican-American War, which he saw as unjust, but he remained a minority voice. After his term in Congress, he returned to law and largely withdrew from politics until the mid-1850s. The issue of slavery and its expansion into new territories dominated national politics during the 1850s. Lincoln re-entered the political scene in 1854 after the passage of the Kansas-Nebraska Act, which allowed for the potential spread of slavery into new states. He became a vocal opponent of slavery, joining the newly formed Republican Party, which was dedicated to halting its expansion. In 1858, Lincoln ran for U.S. Senate against the incumbent Stephen A. Douglas. Although Lincoln lost the election, his debates brought him national recognition. Lincoln argued that slavery was morally wrong and should not expand, while Douglas championed popular sovereignty, allowing territories to decide the slavery issue for themselves. In 1860, Lincoln was elected as the first Republican President of the United States. His election was met with fierce opposition from the Southern states, which feared that his anti-slavery stance would threaten their way of life. The political divide over slavery eventually led to the secession of 11 Southern states and the formation of the Confederacy, sparking the Civil War. Lincoln faced the unprecedented challenge of preserving the Union while dealing with the existential question of slavery. His leadership during the war was characterized by determination, pragmatism, and the pursuit of moral principles. Lincoln worked tirelessly to maintain the support of border states, secure foreign neutrality, and navigate the political pressures of both his party and the nation. In 1863, he took a bold step by issuing the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared the freedom of enslaved people in the Confederate States. Although the proclamation did not immediately free all enslaved people, it was a landmark decision that fundamentally changed the character of the war and made the abolition of slavery a central goal of the Union war effort. Lincoln's leadership was not without criticism. The war was brutal, and by 1864, many Americans were weary. Lincoln's re-election was uncertain, and the Union's victory was not guaranteed. However, in a series of key battles, including the Battle of Gettysburg, the Union forces gained momentum, and Lincoln won a second term in November 1864. One of Lincoln's most famous speeches, the Gettysburg Address, was delivered on November 19, 1863, at the dedication of a national cemetery at the site of the Battle of Gettysburg. In this brief but powerful address, Lincoln reaffirmed the principles of equality and liberty enshrined in the Declaration of Independence and called for a new birth of freedom. He framed the Civil War as a struggle not just to preserve the Union, but to ensure that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Lincoln's leadership in the Civil War ultimately preserved the Union, but it came at a great cost. By the time of the Confederate surrender in April 1865, over 600,000 Americans had died in the conflict. On April 14, 1865, just days after General Robert E. Lee's surrender, at Appomattox Courthouse, Lincoln was assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, a Confederate sympathizer. While attending a play at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., he died the following day, becoming the first U.S. president to be assassinated. Lincoln's death shocked the nation, and his legacy has grown over the years. He is remembered for his ability to navigate the country through its greatest crisis, his commitment to ending slavery, and his belief in the principles of democracy and human equality. The passage of the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery, was one of his major achievements, and his leadership inspired generations of Americans to fight for civil rights and equality. Today, Abraham Lincoln is revered as one of the greatest presidents in U.S. history. His vision of a united nation, his moral clarity in the fight against slavery, and his ability to communicate the ideals of American democracy have left an indelible mark on the nation and the world. His life and leadership continue to serve as a touchstone for ideals of freedom, equality, and justice.